Hey guys, so what I want to talk to you guys about is adding and subtracting rational numbers. So, rational numbers do include integers, but it's not just integers, it's decimals, it's fractions. So, let's look at one of the hardest ones to add or subtract. Let's look at a mixed number. All right. So, if you go back to my video about adding integers, the rule applies to rational numbers as well. It's just now we're not going to get whole numbers. I mean, sometimes we might, but it's not necessarily always going to be the deal. So, with these rational numbers, since I'm adding them, if I take into account that one is a positive and one is a negative, that really means that I'm actually going to be subtracting them. Okay, so I'm thinking to myself, what's the absolute value of 7 and 2/3? Well, it's 7 and 2/3. And the absolute value of -4 and 1/3 is 4 and 1/3. Okay, so I subtract 7 and 2/3 minus 4 and 1/3. In this case, it's easy because they both have the same denominator. And because the 2 is bigger than the 1, I don't really have to change anything, but I am going to change it just for the sake of showing you. So to subtract these mixed numbers, I want to put them into improper fraction. It's probably the easiest way. Okay, so improper fraction, the way that you do it is you take the whole number, multiply it by the denominator, so 7 times 3, and then add the 2 extra on the top. So 7 times 3 is 21, and then 2 is 22, 23. So there are 23 thirds, and that's the way that you can get 7 and 2/3. And then 4 times 3 is 12, and 12 plus 1 is 13. So there's 13 thirds that we're taking away. And again, because the denominators are the same, we're able to easily just add or subtract the numerators. So 23 minus 13 gets me 10. So 10 thirds. Now I can leave it as an improper fraction, or I can change it back to a mixed number. How many times does 3 go evenly into 10 without going over? So 3, 6, 9, 12. All right, so it goes in 3 times evenly without going over. And then 3 times 3 is 9, so then I have 1 left over to get to me the 10. And I divide that by 3 remaining, and then 3 and 1/3 is my answer. Now, this was a subtraction problem, so I could have changed it to an addition problem. 23 over 3 plus negative 13 over 3. And I could have applied the addition rules. Okay, so that means that I'm going to take the absolute value of 23 over 3, which is 23 over 3. I'll take the absolute value of 13 over 3, which is 13 over 3, and I'll subtract. Because they are, one's negative and one's technically positive. All right, 23 over 3 minus 13 over 3. I mean, I get the same thing. This one was easy. You're not always going to have to go back and apply the rules, but if it makes more sense to you to apply the rules because it's a harder problem, then apply the rules. If it's an easier problem, then do it the way that makes sense to you. Regardless, we'll get 3 and 1/3 as our answer.